taking a trip today up to Gold Butte. Gold Butte is a ghost town now, but it was a booming little, well, we'll call it a tent city. The best I can tell, gold was first discovered in 1883 by Rodney Barnes, whose name we will hear often through this story, and George Walters while they were on a hunting trip. They were joined by two more miners the following spring, and as soon as work started in 1884, another dozen men arrived to stake claims. By 1886, 400 to 500 miners had rushed into the area. At this time, there was one cabin and several hundred white canvas tents. The men cooked on Dutch ovens or campfires or homemade sheet iron stoves. And that winter of 1886-1887 was one of the most brutal ever recorded. The thermometer regularly registered negative 43 to negative 51 Celsius or negative 45 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit for better than a month. A little over a handful of years later, a post office was opened at Gold Butte. It was opened on February 9th of 1895, and it closed on March 31st of 1945, operating for just a mere 50 years. Placer gold was found. The total yield was probably less than 57 kilograms or 2,005 ounces of gold and 539 grams or 19 fine ounces of silver. Nice. Really cool. It's been 10 plus, maybe even 20 plus years since I've been up here. So we are getting close, and as soon as we arrive, it takes me just a minute to get my bearings. There is a building. We are literally parked right on top of the foundation of a building here. And I believe that's the Gold Butte mine right up there. Nice. Look, there was maybe another building right there. Up in the weeds right there, yeah.
Yeah, dug out.
Yeah. So maybe actually we should start up here. Actually, why don't you go ahead and stop? Yeah, there's lots of building stuff here. And we can, there's water down there. Cool. We can walk up there in a minute. We'll drive down and walk up in a minute. Cool. We're here. Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah, some timber down in here. I do think this was another, like, maybe even well-established building. What a commanding view you get from here, huh? But yeah, what? So they dig out a foundation and then build a building up in here? When I was here when I was a kid, wow, yeah, they built something here. The back of a wall or something here with rocks. So when I was here as a kid, I never came up this hill. We parked down. Wow. Whatever was here was a big building. Look at the big old nail. That's cool. That thing is huge. But yeah, we parked down there and I walked around down there. So I've never been up here. This is cool. Look at these big timbers. What the heck? Big nails. That's cool. What's up over here? Okay, we kind of drove in this way, but still. Just the road and... Okay, it's pretty much right where we drove in. As the town became more established, they did open a post office, and at one time there were several saloons. One called the Bucket of Blood. Doesn't that sound charming? A dance hall, a blacksmith shop, even a 7 or 8 room hotel, a school, a store, a livestock barn, and many miners' cabins. They did eventually move out of the white canvas tents and into cabins. So there is a lot of building debris up here. Were they mining up here? What's that? claim stake? Right, yeah. Definitely a foundation or something right there, huh? What the hell? No way. Yeah, that's a big hole in the ground. I mean, I think. Explain it to me otherwise. Okay. I mean, maybe root cellar, because there is a lot of, I mean, obviously they were building up in here though, right? Maybe root cellar. It looks like it gets pretty, I don't know, it's awful collapsed in everywhere, huh? Was it a place to put animals? Maybe it was a little corral or something up here.
That spot here for.
And lots of more timbers down here. Look at, yeah. Some barbed wire, see? I mean, maybe. Yeah, some rusty metal down here. Barbless, yeah. That probably tells you how old that wire is. There's probably somebody out there who studies old barbed wire who could tell you, like, that's from the, 1804 or 1808 or... Yeah, interesting. What's that? Big boulders and stuff over there. Oh, interesting. Huh. I have no idea. There's more metal down there. Was it a car? Was it a barrel? Was it a... I have no idea. The first of 3 school buildings was built in Gold Butte in 1895. It was a log cabin style building, and in about 1900, it was moved from Gold Butte to Deep Ground Coulee, and that school closed in 1908. A new building was built about a half-mile north of Gold Butte in 1909. However, it burned down in 1919 or 1920. After the fire, and while the third and final schoolhouse was being built in Gold Butte, classes were held in the dance hall. The building was completed, and it was attended by the children of Gold Butte until 1941, when it was moved down to Miners Coulee. It only operated as a school in Miners Coulee for a couple of years before it closed. It's hard to say how far back any kind of buildings and stuff go. It looks like maybe there was one more here. We're starting to get quite a few rocks and things here. Scaring the cows. Oh, look. There's like part of a building down over here. Cool. She's done tipped over. I'm guessing, though, that this would have been probably one of the nicer buildings out here. You know, not a lot of wood. It's down here. It's all protected. Not a lot of wood out here to build with. And so a lot of the miners that were here stayed in tents, you know, white tarp tents. Yeah, I mean, like I say, there were a few buildings here, and at one point in time, quite a few people. Well, we got the cows all upset. Was this a building, do you think? I don't know. It looks awful messy. So, yeah, it's like it's eroding out of the hill. Should we have some lunch?
I am.
You're having lunch?
Yeah, look. No water?
Yeah, water on the other side. There's a wooden roof over in that hole over there.
Yeah, hang on, roof.
Oh, yeah.
Water.
And there's more buildings up over there. We'll have to go look at those really quick too before we go over and look at the mine.
This way?
I didn't go down, we only went up.
Yeah, back.
And there's, more buildings over there, I think. We did stop for some lunch, and there are still some really cool rocks to see. We definitely need to go check out a few more of those foundations, and we still need to go up and look at the mine. But first, there's a really important rock to see here, and that is the infamous headstone of Jessie Rowe. Jessie Rowe, born on March 9th of 1887, came from Kansas with her older sister. She had tuberculosis, and it was thought that the dry air might help her condition. She died at the age of 15 in Gold Butte on September 30th, 1902. The first thing that may stand out to you about Jessie's headstone is that it stands here what's seemingly alone. It is not alone. The other graves that are here are simply unmarked. One is that of Miss Evelyn Naffis, who was a teacher at the Gold Butte School and who died on her wedding day, October 6th, 1897, also of tuberculosis. The reason why there are so few graves here is because this was a secondary grave site chosen. The actual Gold Butte site is across the coulee. We'll, for the purposes of this video, call this the Boot Hill grave site. The Gold Butte Cemetery is over there by that lone pine tree. The Boot Hill site was a secondary location. The Gold Butte Cemetery came first. Some of the oldest grave sites here are in that cemetery. This site was a secondary site chosen because it was thought to have had a prettier view. When it was discovered that the Butte Hill site was near an underground spring, it was abandoned in favor of the original Gold Butte Cemetery. And the Gold Butte Cemetery is being used up until currently. While her headstone stands alone here, we know that she is not alone here. There are other unmarked graves near her. What makes her headstone infamous is the slightly eerie, poetic, and yet almost beautiful inscription, which reads, "Remember me as you pass by, as you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so soon shall you be. Prepare for death and follow me." That's that local marble. So pretty. Heck of a place. Have a heck of a place to rest out here. Pretty cool. All right, so that was pretty cool. I've heard lots of stories about that. I knew it was up here, but I've never seen it. That was pretty cool. So Gold Butte, the town, is gonna be right down there, kind of in all that woods and stuff. So we're gonna head back up there, investigate some more of the old buildings and things out there, and maybe go up and look at the mine a little bit closer. And we're going to try to figure out, I know there's a road that gets you up to the actual Gold Butte Cemetery, so we can go see like the headstone of Rodney Barnes, the guy that named Gold Butte. Anyway, yeah, lots more to see. So now that we've checked that off, that was a bucket list thing for me to do, come up and see that. So now that we've checked that off the list, we're going to head back up and do some more exploring.
Yeah, but the snow piled up here too.
Yeah, I bet it was outrageous to stay here, seriously. They talk about it being a really rowdy place, like the miners were, lusty and feisty, and often their disagreements were resolved with a pistol. And I think we see that over in the cemetery when we get there, that some of the grave markers up there are nothing more than a metal plate with a death date on it. Like they didn't even really give them a headstone or anything. This is cool.
Up there.
Where's the rock we saw from the other side, though? Did we walk past it?
Yeah.
Where? Oh, up there. But yeah, I mean, you'd have had to been hardcore. And conditions like that would have drove you to resolve your battles with a pistol, would they not have? Maybe. Oh, that's cool. That's one of the coolest foundations that we've seen so far. Yeah, I don't either. Oh, that's cool. How cool. That was it too, huh? Like that's all the more you needed, huh? It's just like one room.
Hey, more than that, boy, imagine that your heat bill goes up.
That, and it just gets to be a lot of labor to build. Oh, look how thick that is. That's cool.
It might have fallen over.
I think quite a bit of it did too, yeah, but that's cool. Looking straight up at the mine. This was probably the governor's house. Look at all that wire. And glass, broken glass out here. And metal cans. And metal.
Yeah. Check out the barb on this. Single barb.
Holy.
It's flat iron.
That's pretty cool. Those are evil. Little flat wrapped. That's cool. The timbers and the rocks, and I think that might be a bone. That stuff just goes, man, forever. It is a bone. Look, there's more timbers and stuff way over there. Get up out of the bugs a little. More timbers up there. They actually got quite a bit of wood hauled up out here, didn't they? Ooh, what's this? That smells pretty. Bug. Fell in a hole. All right. Wow, man. It's just everywhere out here, like bits of history, pieces of ghost town. That's cool. What was that? Look at all the nails in that. Coming up to the mine now. And if you ever heard that saying, gold rides an iron horse, I mean, these guys, they knew what they were doing. This is some of the most irony looking quartz I've ever seen in my life. Wow, huh? Look at it. All right. Ooh, and wild raspberry plants like crazy out here. Keep moving our way up here. Look how irony that stuff is. It's cool. There's pretty much no easy way to get up there, is there? Like, they just had to hike up here. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a crusher? Is it a shaker? Did it shake back and forth? Either way, it was, I'm sure, to separate gold from rock. I don't know what all is down there. Or how that worked.
Oh, yellow bird.
Yeah, wow, huh? They were working down there, weren't they? The mine is still up there. We're still climbing. Let's go see the mine. Oh, there is a little foundation there, isn't there? And there's some more wood back there. I don't get bit by a mosquito. Yeah, cool. Huh? Interesting. Okay, up we go. Oh, it's so steep. Look at all that iron-rich rock over there, too.
Rich iron.
Oh, my.
Yeah, double dig out. This one stands and then above it. And there's this.
Some more barrels. Look at that tailings pile. Holy shite. Holy schist. Holy chert.
Yeah, you think it'll nap?
I don't know. No, I don't think it'll nap, but I'm going right up this so we can look at it. Geographically speaking, of course. That is not how I remember it looking. You see that little timber sticking out? Right there? There used to be a hole there with a chain across it that said do not enter. Looks like they've tried to, either a natural cave in or they've tried to push it in so you can't get in there. But yeah, that timber was the entrance. Huh.
Looks like it slipped off from the top there.
Yeah. From there. There's a big old rock chuck. Just keeping an eye on the entrance to that mine. He's got all the gold. It's all his. This is why that guy's so noisy. What you do, buddy? Next stop, the Gold Butte Cemetery, because there's a lot more history to dig into. Pretty much anything on the north side of that hill is Canada. Look how much of Canada we can see from here. Quite the view. Quite the view. Yeah, let's have one more look at this road that brings us up and down out of here. If you could call that a road. It's a bit of an adventure to get up here, I'll say that. The Gold Butte Cemetery is probably the oldest in the area. Rodney Barnes selected the location because it was high on a hill. The first burial to take place in this cemetery was that of Alethe Simmons, the stepdaughter of Rodney Barnes, in August of 1885. The second recorded burial in the cemetery was that of a sheep herder. It was after those first couple of burials that the Boot Hill Cemetery site was used just a handful of times. The Gold Butte Cemetery has been used since. Here's another neat inscription on this 3-year-old's headstone. A little bud of love to bloom with God above. There are probably nearly as many children buried here as there are adults, which was not unusual or exceptional for the time. It was a lot of the miners' family members, the miners themselves, or the workers of the town of Gold Butte who are buried in the cemetery at Gold Butte. Rodney Barnes himself, the man who first discovered gold there, the man who staked a claim and chose the location for the cemetery not once but twice, who buried his stepdaughter there first. Just one character, one of many characters who are buried there and who had a story to tell. Some of these characters I could only dream of meeting. Some of these characters I was lucky enough to know. And some of these characters had thoughtful departing messages. As rough and tough as us prairie people have been for generations, this is something that might even be carved in my headstone. If you can be anything, be kind. All right, guys, well, we saw Gold Butte. We stopped and explored the Gold Butte Cemetery. And what a day. Beautiful day. It wasn't too hot. I mean, yeah, Gold Butte's just right up there. So, what a cool day. Thank you guys so much for joining me on today's adventures out here on the prairie. Stay tuned and hopefully we'll do more stuff like this and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Ew, I'm filthy. Have a great day. Bye. Pretty rocks out on the prairie. Pretty rocks are everywhere. Pretty rocks for us to look at. Pretty rocks are everywhere. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they all are very pretty, and they all are everywhere. Well, that was it. That was Gold Butte, you guys. We just drove right through it. All of it. That was it. Sit back there. Old Gold Butte Ghost Town. There sure is not a lot of it left, but what was left of it, we went and saw. There is a double rainbow. You can barely see the second one there. And it goes back to right to where we were, but I swear if the rainbow marks the pot of gold, we looked, we didn't find it. I'm so glad you drove today, baby. That was a rough ride. Or just a rough road, lots of roads and gates, and I'm glad it was you and helping me out today, because I might not have persevered. I might have given up.
I was about halfway there too.
I know, I was all gung-ho when you were ready to give up, and you were all gung-ho when I was ready to give up, so we made a good team.
Go team.
Go team, and look at that beautiful rainbow to end the day.
Yeah.
Thank you, baby. One more thing. All of these beautiful marble headstones are made with local marble. I did a really neat video on the marble in the Sweetgrass Hills. I highly suggest you check that out. It should be on the screen somewhere here. Click that link, check it out. And in a world where you can choose to be anything, choose to be kind of a rockhound.